All right, let's dive right into one of life's biggest questions. It's something artists, philosophers, and probably every single one of us has wrestled with at some point. What is love, really? I mean, is it a feeling? A choice? Is it just a bunch of chemicals firing in our brain? The writer we're looking at today didn't try to pin it down with one single definition. Instead, he set out to explore it. And that right there, that's the key to his whole perspective. He's not coming at this like some expert who has all the answers. Nope. He's an explorer, setting out on a journey to really map the tricky, beautiful landscape of the human heart. So you might be asking, how on earth does a writer explore love? Well, for him, his laboratory, if you will, was his own novel. He didn't want to study it from a distance. He wanted to get right in there, living inside the minds and the hearts of his characters. I mean, think about it for a second. As an author, you kind of get to play God, right? You see everything, every secret thought, every little fear, every single moment of connection. He was living through their relationships, their fights, their tender moments, and that gave him this incredible 360-degree view of how it all works. And out of this whole exploration, he came up with two really powerful metaphors to describe what love looks like when it's really, truly thriving. And it's not about what love feels like, but what love does. He calls them the chain and the battery. Okay, first up, love is a chain. And this is just a brilliant way to put it, isn't it? It suggests that love isn't one giant, grand gesture. It's a continuous, unbroken series of selfless little actions, each one a link connecting to the next, building something really strong and lasting. So what are these links exactly? Well, look at these examples. They're so normal. So everyday, right? It's saying good morning. It's warming up their car seat for them when it's freezing out. Making a cup of tea just because. Each one of these little things is a selfless act. Another link that makes that chain stronger. And this is where he makes a really important distinction. He says there's a difference between love and a partnership. A partnership is, well, it's more transactional. It's based on agreements, on expecting something back. And hey, nothing wrong with that. But love is different. It's about giving without keeping a scorecard. It's giving just for the sake of giving. So that's the chain. Now for the second metaphor. Love is also a battery. This one's so smart because a chain can be super strong, but a battery needs to be charged. It perfectly shows that even though love is about selfless giving, it can't just be a one-way street forever. It just can't. I mean, think about it. If you're the only one giving and the other person is only taking, what's going to happen? That battery is going to run out of juice. Simple as that. The person receiving all that energy, they might be happy for a while, but the person giving it all, they're going to be drained. For love to last, it has to be mutually recharged. You both have to be plugging in. Okay, so we have the chain and the battery. That's love at its best. But what about when things go wrong? What destroys love? Well, our author points to two destructive forces, and the metaphors he uses here are just as powerful: bricks and grains of sand. Let's unpack this, because it's huge. On one hand, you've got the bricks. These are the big, obvious things from the outside world: your job, your hobbies, even your friends. They aren't necessarily bad things, but they can, bit by bit, build a wall between you. And then you have the grains of sand. These are the tiny internal things: a mean comment, a little white lie, an angry look. Each one feels like nothing on its own, but they pile up and they can literally bury a relationship. So how does this wall actually get built? Imagine this. At first, you're holding hands. No problem. Then a brick gets laid between you. Maybe it's a late night at work or a promise that gets broken. Then another brick and another. Soon, you have to raise your hands just to stay connected over this growing wall. Until, eventually, the wall is so high, you can't even see each other anymore. You might still be holding on, but you're totally, completely separated. But that's just one threat. The bricks, you can kind of see them coming, right? They're big, they're obvious. But the grains of sand, oh, they are so much more subtle. One single grain of sand, you're not even going to feel it. And here's what they look like. That sharp tone of voice, a text message you read and just ignored. That little lie, an irritated sigh, demanding something instead of asking nicely. See? Each one, on its own, feels like it weighs nothing. But grain by grain by grain, they pile up, and they slowly, silently, suffocate whatever love is underneath. So what's the end game? What happens when that wall gets too high to see over, or when the sand has buried everything? Well, this is the final, pretty stark reality of what happens when you let these things take over. The conclusion is simple, and honestly, a little chilling. As he puts it, love does not pass through walls. That chain of selfless acts, that energy from the battery, nope, it can't get through a solid wall. It's just blocked. End of story. And this right here, this is the real tragedy of it all. The relationship doesn't end in some big dramatic explosion. It just fades into this quiet separation. You have two people living under the same roof, but they might as well be on different planets, completely walled off or buried under sand, living alone together. So after all this, what's the takeaway? What's the solution? It's actually incredibly simple, but that doesn't mean it's easy. The antidote to all those bricks and all that sand is conscious, deliberate effort. You have to actively love. You have to value the person you're with, and you have to show them respect in every single little interaction. And so that leaves us with a pretty pointed question to ask ourselves, doesn't it? In our own lives, in our own relationships, which bricks are we laying, maybe without even realizing it? And which tiny, seemingly harmless grains of sand are we letting fall, day after day? Definitely something to think about.